Hey guys, Katie Day down here in Houston, Texas with my great friend Stephen Kim Holmes out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We are here with another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. I am so excited for today's guest, and my excitement is just so grand that I'm going to let Steve do the intro today.
Thank you so much, Katie Day. I too am so excited for today's guest. Today's guest needs no introduction whatsoever. She's a kick-ass mom, wife, daughter, and another kick-ass real estate agent, and someone I consider to be the real deal, and someone I am honored to call a friend. Liz actually started herself on a different path before pursuing real estate. She landed a degree teaching elementary school and at the same time working and becoming a retail business manager. She had a true passion for teaching and even won Teacher of the Year. After a successful career as an educator for 8 years, Liz began pursuing her love of architecture and design and looked into becoming a real estate agent. Liz has only embraced social media and marketing with arms wide open, but has elevated it, leveraging it to serve and educate her clients. She masterfully highlights local businesses in Basking Ridge and has been featured on several podcasts and industry news sources, including Inman News. A little known fact about Liz, she used to be a full-time eBayer. Today, we are super honored to welcome the one, the only Liz Novello.
Hey guys.
What's going on?
You're making me blush. That was a really thoughtful, well said history of my life.
In case you didn't know already, here's the history of your life laid out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time out today to chat with us. I'm so excited. I've got a bunch of notes already of things I want to talk to you about. But
I love
for those that may, the smallest notepad ever. For those that may not already know you, Liz, and perhaps to expand on what Steve has already said, tell us a little bit kind of about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So first of all, I'm so excited to be here. I actually came on early just to chat with you guys. You're
Love
like going to be the number 1 and number 2 dials in my phone, speed dial. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with you and to have connected with you through social media. I am a mom, real estate agent. I have been in the industry for a few years. I still consider myself a newish agent, but definitely peaking on setting some different standards for myself coming into the new year. And I service New Jersey. I also, like you said, Katie, have been spotlighting businesses on my YouTube channel, Good Morning New Jersey, where local businesses and people who've lived in our town of Basking Ridge or neighboring towns of Bernardsville, Warren, and Bedminster have showcased their business and love of the town.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
I saw your lips moving, but
you did, yeah,
no sound was coming out, right?
Yeah. So Liz, we've all kind of connected through social media and obviously through the one and only Tom Ferry. So meeting Tom Ferry early in your career, if you could redo your first year in real estate differently, what might you do differently?
Well, I mean, I met Tom Ferry at Agent 2021 at my brother's conference in Miami, and I had no idea that I was meeting the legend himself. And so I met him literally 72 hours into getting into the business, and he has been such an instrumental person in my life through my business. I consider him a friend. He's just such a good human. He wants the best for so many people. But I think he really pivoted my whole game in this real estate world because, being Gary Vee's sister, I felt like a lot of eyes were on me. And because I was a stay-at-home mom for so long, I forgot who I actually was, that I too have this Vaynerchuk blood and I'm out to go get mine. But Tom Ferry one day just called me a few months after meeting him and said, "What are you doing?" And I literally wasn't really doing much. I really
I'm
thought,
driving. I'm hanging
yes,
out.
I was driving. By the way, I've never done this. I pulled over because I was like, now I know who Tom Ferry is. I felt like I better, he's calling me. It says Tom Ferry.
Good thing you picked up the phone, you know?
Good thing I
Yeah.
picked up the phone. So I think it was so instrumental for me and my business. I've been, coaching from the get um, with Tom Ferry's uh, community. And so for me, it was so instrumental because I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't sure how to gain business. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to put out that I was now working after staying home for so long, because a lot of my stay home moms were fans and others were like, why do that, right? Why are you going to work? um and so I was kind of unsure of myself, and also because I had such a fear of failure, I wasn't even putting myself out there. I didn't even, the first thing we tell agents or in this community or any new agent getting into the business, like, you need to tell your sphere. Well, I didn't tell anybody.
You were the quote unquote secret agent that Tom
I
talks about.
Exactly. I wrote a whole post on that I was a secret agent. That would be my number one advice. Do not be a
Wow. Okay.
secret agent. If you're going into this, go into this. You can't be half pregnant in this industry. There's no such thing as half pregnant, right? In anything. So the minute that he shared how I could not ask for business, because I didn't like to ask people for business, I felt like it was
Yeah.
rude of me. Growing up in a Russian culture, they rather you just die than to ask for help. Swear. Like, my parents would not ask for help ever. So I grew up in that kind of culture. So for me, I didn't want to ask people for business. And so Tom's like, okay, don't ask for business, but let's call those expired listings and let's find out what the grapes are. He goes,
Mm.
educate yourself. And as an educator, I'm like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
So it was a real lesson, but also what it pivoted me from understanding, or how it transformed my business. I realized going to the office meant nothing when you weren't doing anything there anyway. You weren't doing activities to grow your business. Sitting in an office or at a desk or a cubicle or in front of your laptop does nothing. And so it gave me an activity, and also it propelled me to realize maybe I was at the wrong brokerage.
Mm.
And so I made a change, which I also don't love change. And so I'm really proud that that wasn't in my personality to make that change, but I think I knew I had to do something if I wanted to be in this business.
So
Can
I'm
you?
curious.
Oh, you go ahead.
I'm
I think we're
curious.
gonna ask
I'm
the same
curious,
question.
Steve. May I discuss my
Please.
curiosity? So Liz, we just have this little banter because sometimes Steve gets really excited and then he just asks all the questions. So I just have to sit here with a smile on my face because like it's recorded, right? And it's also audio. So I'm just gonna big boy him
Katie,
on this
I
one.
totally get it, because it cut me off too, because Steve and I were talking a few months back and I literally spilt my coffee in my daughter's bedroom, like on the carpet from excitement. So
Yeah.
stop us both.
Yes.
Okay. So, anyways, I actually had heard Tom say something about you when you had first started, and was, it was
Okay.
kind of the story about the expireds, right? And he was like,
Yes.
"Say, I was talking to this person, blah blah blah," and then he's like, "Oh yeah, it's also Gary V's sister, blah blah blah, whatever." And I didn't know that like you had met him like day 2, day 3 of being a real estate agent. So that's really cool. Where I'm going with this is how how confused were people that you were calling that had an expired listing? They're getting all of these calls of, I can sell your home. I know why it didn't sell. Your last agent sucked, blah, 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 whatever. Let me come to your house. And you're just like, no, let's talk. Like, tell me
Yes.
about it. What happened? How confused were they? How did that experience go for you?
I didn't realize that they already had 20 phone calls. I guess all the agents that look up expireds already called, and so
Mhm.
by the time I dropped off my kids at school and got my coffee and sat in the office where I did nothing, I called in a room by myself in the dark because I was not making calls in front of people. I still
Yeah.
need to be in my car. I have a whole setup. I go into cocoon mode, but um I'm very good at connecting with people. I think it's actually one of the talents that I have in this business. I truly care and I want to understand people's needs. I think that comes from my nurturing of being a mom and also a teacher. And so I relieved myself for not asking for the business because I didn't want to do it. And so I thought, let me just have conversation. So they kind of had therapy with me.
Wow. Free
But I
therapy.
didn't ask them for business. Now things are different now because I'm like therapy, but let me see what I can help you with.
Yeah.
But
You're like, I can actually sell your home too. So
yes. But one of the best ones were they were like, yes, yes, yes. Let me tell my daughter. And then the daughter called and said, I'm an agent. What are you doing calling my parents?
Oh.
I
I would
was
also
like,
be
then
like, well,
why,
why
if
didn't you
you're an
sell your
agent,
parents'
why didn't
home?
their house sell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that was a fun one.
so on the same kind of track, because 8 years of teaching experience, can you, like Liz, in real estate now, like, can you draw on some of the parallels from teaching into real estate and
Definitely.
have some of those parallels, given you an advantage? So one of the things is, the nurturing and the connecting. Absolutely, that is a teacher. That's the teacher's wheelhouse. Is there anything else that you're pulling from teaching that you
Yes.
kind of are drawing parallels in real estate?
I think that teaching really set the standard how I time block. I think in teaching that first year was so instrumental, and those first couple months were exhausting because I realized getting 6-year-olds, 6 and 7-year-olds to finish a task that I planned for, 30 minutes was not going to happen because it took them literally 30 minutes to pick out the color, to pick out, their pencil box, to start cutting. So what that taught me was to narrow down. So I started saying, okay, today you're getting blue, tomorrow you're getting yellow, things like that, narrowing the search. And that's what I do for my clients now. A lot of times, my clients, I think a lot of agents know this or experience this. And as you go on in the years of real estate, you realize too much information is overwhelming for a lot. So I started narrowing down just like I did in teaching. Like they couldn't handle my 6 and 7-year-olds couldn't handle doing A through Z in one setting. That was a 2-day time block, right? And so I think time blocking, just managing of the time was so essential for me, and it is still today. Organization, because when you teach 6 and 7-year-olds, you need to be on your game. I'm super organized. I am terrible at paperwork. Why I'm getting a virtual assistant that's starting tomorrow, but
Nice.
I'm organized. I never miss, a date or an inspection, things like that. But like the paperwork, I can't stand.
Would you say, being a teacher and having like a copious amount of patience, especially teaching first graders, that helped you to listen, like really hone in on the needs of your clients and really kind of elevate the service that you provide for them? Would you say that that's also been a huge bonus in kind of your real estate arsenal?
Patience for sure. Patience overall globally for humans, and
Mm.
being very empathetic. I learned that from my family. My family has taught me that. Um, but what it's also taught me is um, understanding that people need to be educated in the process. So when I became a parent, what I thought was something that everybody knows, we're going to put on our shoes and get in the car, and then we're going to go to Gymboree. Setting the tone for our children, for our clients is the same way. I think a lot of people think, we do this day in, day out. We don't even realize some people haven't done this. My clients, I sold a house this year. It was very special to me because it was a husband and wife that I taught with in Garwood. And they asked me to come and sell their house. And that was such a great feeling, not only getting them situated and having that connection with them, but getting them more than they even expected for their house,
Mm.
and probably being one of the, I would say it's like the top two sold listings over asking, historically went over, a substantial amount of money in that town. So that felt really good to me.
Wow.
But I think overall, I can't deny that teaching was such a fundamental. I don't think I would have been as good of an agent without it, honestly.
You talked about empathy, and that really, really resonates with me because I'm a true believer that one of the things that's helped me in this business is empathy. Not
Mhm.
only, just understanding, putting ourselves in our client's shoes, but really, really living there and identifying what the pain points are going to look like, how it's going to impact our clients, and trying to essentially get rid of those pain points. But that empathy component, I find a lot of people lack. A lot of
Mm,
people lack. They understand empathy, but they don't They're not a proponent of empathy. So someone in this industry starting brand new, and we're talking about empathy and we live empathy and it's helped us in our business. How do you get someone to identify that and practice it, be a practitioner of it?
You know, Steve, I have a feeling that you were just naturally born being empathetic. I really believe that. And I think that some people are naturally gifted that ability. My older brother, my mom. And so I would say I was not as empathetic. I was definitely not as much as they are. I also am raising two children. One's 11, one is 8. One is out of control empathetic. Like he literally makes me want to he's a better person than I am. And the other one, I'm teaching how to be empathetic because she's more like me. And I do think that you could teach yourself. It's having these self talks. I also think empathy comes with becoming wise, getting older, understanding that not every situation, like once upon a time, like when I went to college, I had no idea how people were living, you know? I had no idea. That was like a rude awakening. I could
Yeah.
share on a whole different, podcast, just like very much lived in a bubble. My mom and dad really, I feel very blessed. But how do you teach it? I think instead of looking at people as numbers and money that's going to, buy you that fancy bag or great pair of shoes or, your next whatever. Um, Really caring about the people. I think that for me, I will never force somebody to buy a house.
Yeah.
I will never push anybody. I give my clients maybe sometimes too much time, right? And time is money, but I feel that it's important. I want to lay my head down every night and feel good about the
Mm.
transactions that I've had, the transactions that end up being friendships for me.
Yeah. That's
I love
powerful.
that. I love that.
So one
Clients,
of the things,
clients into friends. Sorry, go ahead, Katie.
clients and friends, great point, Steve. One of the things you said earlier, about early on in your career, you're kind of going to the office and you were really busy, right? And we
Yes.
see that a lot. People all the time are like, "Oh yeah, I'm
Mm.
busier than I've ever been," and then you actually take a look at their schedule, you take a look at what they're doing, and it's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
Um, so 4 years in, you said you did decide to make a change with brokerages, right? What advice would you give like to a new agent that's looking either for a team or for a brokerage? Like how should they find what aligns best? Because I recruit, for my team for
Yes.
brokerage, like we all have
Sure.
training, we all have mentorship, we all have this, we all have that. Like what would be your kind of key things to look for?
I think something is to be self aware. So I'm very self aware on what I need. I think sometimes we want to be something different or we want to act a certain way. But being self aware, I knew I worked better on a team because I needed that support. I wanted that education. I wanted to lean on somebody. I wanted to celebrate things with others, right? And so I think understanding what you bring to the table and what others can bring to you. So a lot of times I get a lot of DMs, Liz, how do you know? Well, you're not married to any brokerage or any team. You're not. You're not. That was something that I thought. I'm married to my husband and that's it. Everybody else, like, I'm fiercely loyal, but if it wasn't working and if it isn't working, that's okay. Go somewhere else. Now, there's a difference that you see agents change brokerages all the time.
Every
Something that
week.
I think, right, I think something that's super important is to realize um, nobody's going to give you anything. Like
Mm.
your team does not have to give you silver platter leads. Your team doesn't owe you anything, right? And just being aware of that, being aware of what you could take. But I think something that I would do for a new agent is go on Instagram, go check out those agents that are the top agents in your town and pick the one that speaks to you.
Mm.
Vibes, whatever you call it, whoever you're going to feel comfortable with, whoever you think is dominating in your workplace. Now, there's dominating agents in my workplace, but I just know that I'm more, I'm not going to wear a suit every day. I'm a real kind of leggings t-shirt girl, except when I'm showing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that like if you're showing food on your post, like I could work with you. If we could eat some big sandwich together, I'm down, right? Some sushi, I got you. So I think connecting with the people that speak to you, and I think that's really hard for some agents that haven't had any other work experience, some agents that are coming, at a young age, right? But I would say, who's dominating in your workspace? Go learn from them.
So, Liz, in this day and age, we've heard video, social media, social media. For those people who are still on the fence, we're still on the fence with social media, what might be the one or two things that you could share with people watching and listening to get them off the fence and dip their toe in the arena of social media? Whether it's video, whether it's posting or creating an account, what's the one or two piece of advice you could give to them?
I guess two things would be like, my current client found me on a hashtag. You guys want business?
What hashtag was it?
It was a town. It was a
Okay,
town that I
okay.
sold a house in.
Wow.
Because at first, I assumed that a lot of people find me through my brother, right? And so I was like, okay, maybe they found me through my brother. And then like third conversation, I'm like, how did you find me? Because I used to be very self-conscious about asking that, like, how did you find me? Because I just assume everybody found me from Gary Vee, right? So now when I found out, I'm like, a hashtag, I like wrote the family thread. I'm like, she found me on a hashtag. And it wasn't Gary Vee,
Screw you,
Look
Gary.
at me now, family. Look at me. So it's like the fact that somebody found me on Baskin Ridge, New Jersey is mind-blowing to me. And I guess the second thing is, nobody is watching you and nobody cares. That's the truth. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You're not guys, nobody cares about you. Do your video. I never watch my stuff. Watch my stuff. Literally, my mom will watch this video and then she'll tell me if I did well. That's it.
Mom, she's doing great. She's doing
I always,
great.
it's always like,
I just
my
think,
mom, your mom. That's
yeah. Like, they're like, great job, girls. That's it. Good. Nobody cares. I think that that's something that a lot of people should think about, because I know that we could all be very self-conscious of what we look like or what we sound like. Believe me, I don't like the way I sound. I don't, maybe I don't like the way I look. I'm just not going to judge myself. I think the number one thing, you're so afraid. I think this goes out, even to myself. This is self-talk of, nobody's judging you, but you are judging yourself. Just try it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go on video and somebody says, "Oh, I saw you on video." Okay. For me, I'm just very unscripted, so I could understand, but there's other ways of doing video if you're an introvert. Going to local businesses and spotlighting them and never even really having the camera on yourself. Doing a reel inside, the local taco place is kind of cool.
Were you on my Instagram today?
What? I wasn't, but
we went
to
we're
a
starting
taco
a new
place?
series. We're starting a new series, and I was at a taco place today and I posted about it. So thanks for the
You know
advice,
what?
Liz. I've already implemented it.
Guess what? Somebody mentioned that they got awesome tacos like an hour away, and I'm like, I'm driving there. I'm getting my tacos. See, like, guys,
And what a great
watching this,
reel too.
I mean, that's a great reel. Like, I think, hey Bob, good to see you. I think just interacting and with businesses and with other agents, even, like, look how we connected. I'm so pumped. I am so thankful for the community that has come through social media, because I don't want to hang out with Sally in Baskin Ridge, who's an agent too. I want to beat Sally.
Sally's such a nice lady, though.
know?
That's uncomfortable.
I want to share how we met. Like, Liz, you and I met. We met through Tom Ferry, and then we connected, and then we got on a Zoom call together. Like, it wasn't scripted anything, just real, authentic. We identified we're two big foodies, and you're coming to Toronto. You're coming to Toronto because of the food posts, right?
That's it.
So, which is pretty wild.
And it's like Katie and I both have puppies, and we're connecting on that. And I think, again, the video aspect, I mean, I'm looking at some videos and I'm like, damn, they're good. I just don't have the same talent of being funny and doing a video that's funny. That's not my personality, you know? And so, or other people like so posh and so polished and the video looks amazing. That's not me either. I think just being true and authentic to yourself. Now, I will tell you what the craziest part is. You will see your friends watching you and not saying a word. You will see
Mm,
people watching you and not say a word,
absolutely.
but they're watching you. So I just think it's important. Put yourself out there. There has to be a certain time in your life where you just have to block out what you think other people are thinking of you. The faster you get there, the better.
So I've got two things. The first question would be, what would you say is your favorite part of social? Because like I see you active on Insta, and that's kind
Yep.
of I guess how we connected through the
Yes.
Tom Ferry world. Started
Yep.
following you on Instagram, then saw you had the dog, and I was like, okay, I can't not follow her. This, um, I see you active on stories, post on there, Facebook lives. Like, what do you enjoy the most with social?
Stories,
Yeah,
stories, really. I document my day. That's how it started really for me, documenting my day. And you could
yeah,
do that too without showing your face if you're uncomfortable or really talking, because the truth is people want to see inside houses. They want to see what's behind your medicine cabinet. I remember reading a long time ago the obnoxious amount of people that open medicine cabinets, and I thought, "Ooh, I better clean mine out. I don't
right.
want anybody knowing what's in my medicine cabinet." Nothing, like 20-year-old Advil. But, people are nosy, they wanna see
Yeah.
inside things. We all watch reality TV. I hate to admit it, but, like, I have that on the background. I wanna see
What's
what's
your
going
guilty
on.
pleasure?
I just watch it's so crazy. I'll dabble in, Kardashians, right? Because 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I want my hair to look like, I need a hair person. I need a hair
It's not
person.
real hair normally. It's normally extensions.
I'm considering. I'm like, "Can I get that hair? What is that hair?" I watch dabble in, like, The Real Housewives. I like
Okay.
watching something that isn't part of my life or daily routine, but I'm
Yeah.
noticing that as I'm getting older, I'm getting more affected by drama, and I'm actually having a hard time watching people fight. Um,
Mm,
and so I'm not watching it as much these days. But people wanna
Yeah.
see inside what they consider reality. So documenting was probably my strongest way to grab people, and I think that's a very easy way because you're really just documenting your day.
yeah.
So,
And
little things like walking footsteps. Well, now I notice so many agents are taping their feet walking, and I feel
yeah.
like I've been doing that from 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I gotta tell you, I was documenting every day probably for 3.5 years,
Uh-huh.
Mm,
every single day, rain or shine. And then during the pandemic, I slowed down, and during Black Lives Matter, I just felt like I needed to be quiet during those times and thoughtful. And in the last 6 months, just dealing with my kids being home and helping them with virtual school, I took a step back. But I'm back in it. I'm being more thoughtful on my post. I just think that if you're trying to break out and be an agent that's known in your town, these are opportunities for everyone. You don't pay for it.
And I mean, I get more interaction on my stories than I get on anything. The other thing you mentioned earlier was being authentic. So I wanted to share a photo and get your thoughts on it as far as
Sure.
authenticity goes. So
Yes,
I'm
let
going
me
to
see it.
share.
Oh my
oh
There
my
we go.
god. I
gosh.
was listen,
Oh my
I was
gosh.
thinking, I wanna win the prize. What's the prize? Is
A
it
$50
flying to
gift
see
card
you?
and a $50 charity. But the gift card could be like, to fly you to Toronto.
You
This
guys are
might be like,
hilarious. You
"What's
guys are
up?
hilarious.
I just ate a hoagie this big."
See, I had lots of comments, but none of them were appropriate because I know he's like a family man and, he's there,
Katie
has
had like
children.
R-rated comments. She was
Those
like
are we
DMing.
wanna hear those actually,
I'm
Katie.
like,
I
put
wanna
them
hear
in.
those.
One was I shouldn't have trusted that, and then that fart
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
them.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's
All right.
authentic. That's authentic.
Super authentic. Anyways, moving on. One of the things, like, I know I had heard, maybe you on another podcast or something about like the hustles, that you all had as kids growing up. So growing up in a very entrepreneurial family, what would you
Yes.
say was your favorite like business or hustle or thing that you guys did as kids or growing up as a business?
So when you were 3.5 years younger than Gary, it was never my idea of what business we were running. It was his business, and it was I was employee number one,
Yep.
and for a good price, probably, right?
You got ripped off.
So I think part of some of my favorites were probably car washes, or my brother one time created at our friend Robbie's, our neighbor's jungle gym. He created uh entry. You got to pay to hang at Robbie's jungle gym.
That's amazing.
You know,
What
so that,
job did you hold at Robbie's Jungle Gym?
you know
Is the
what,
question.
I was probably the ticket holder.
Okay.
Nothing.
Bouncer. She's the bouncer.
The bouncer. I was pretty solid always, so you know, I could have been a good bouncer back then.
That's awesome. I'm 6 or 7 years, depending on the time of year, younger than my brother. So I totally hear you on the like, oh, you can hold the tickets, or you can like
Yes.
whatever of the role, and you're just like, well, I'm just happy to be here, so I'll do it.
He was always good to me. He still is, and he always lets me participate.
Amazing, amazing. Liz, we know how incredibly busy you are, so we're going to end the podcast off on this question. This is the question that
Hi.
stumps all guests.
Ooh.
Liz,
Yes.
it's a little morbid, but we're not going down that angle. It's your last day on Earth.
Oh gosh.
What is going to be your last meal? Either homemade, you're going out for it, no limits, no boundaries. What is that last meal?
This is a good one to ask me. I'm
Because you're such
obsessed.
a foodie.
I am. I have to have like, if you know me, I have to have a salad every day. So I would say that, not made by me, by the way. I'm super lazy on making. I love a really chopped salad. And believe it or not, I'm not a fancy girl. But I think
Okay.
that if I could have a last meal, it would have to be in my pajamas with a sports bra, t-shirt, and surrounded by the people that I love most.
And are you going to be
love
eating
it.
a salad?
I'm eating a salad, guys.
Well, your husband's a pretty
Man.
solid cook, though.
My
I'm watching.
husband, I cannot tell you.
Yeah.
I gained so much weight during COVID because my husband started cooking. And cooking and food have always been like very big parts of both our family upbringing, and the love that our families show is through food. And he went crazy. We were like really chowing down for like 20 people. Like literally, when we order food, people think we have a party. It's just us four.
Same.
And by the way, my daughter's like 15th percentile. She eats 3 bites. She's like, I can't. We're like vultures. We wait for Hannah not to finish her dessert. We're like, Hannah, you done? Hannah, done?
My favorite with to-go food is when you order it and they like give you the silverware or whatever, and it's like silverware for 30, and you're like, it's just me.
It's
like,
just me. By the way, I just dropped I am frugal and I am very thoughtful about my money, but one place I will spend is food. So I'm not, I wish I had should I have told you lobster or something fancy? I don't eat red meat often. I'm not like a steak person. That is one thing I did not know how to perfect, but I grew up on steak and potatoes, and I think I just got burnt out. But I would say if somebody could chop my salad really, really well, that would make me very happy.
That doesn't sound fancy at all.
It doesn't. That's the first salad we've gotten. We've gotten a whole wide range of like home cooked grandmother family recipes, to just pepperoni pizza, to like this gourmet Michelin star restaurant, like, so all
Katie,
over
I've been
our
to
first
those
salad.
really fancy. I remember when I was 25, I was in Italy with my family, and we went to this very fancy restaurant. And the only thing I remembered from that restaurant was that I got a little stool for my purse. They gave stools for bags, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, I love Italy. Little did I know I drank the best, wine. I was eating the top food of the world. It was one of the best restaurants in the world. I have developed a palate much better in the last, 15
Couple
years,
yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm a simple girl. Pizza makes me happy too.
So you have a salad, but you have a salad every single day?
Yeah, I probably eat a salad every single day. And if I don't eat a salad, I miss that I didn't eat the salad.
Wow, good for
That's
you.
good though. That's
Yeah.
really good. I
Now,
wish
am I saying
that
my
I did.
salad's super healthy? Sometimes my salads don't, I love a like candied walnuts
It's
with
like
beets and goat cheese and you know what I mean? It's
I
not
always loved the
all that
salad, like
healthy all
the
the time.
salad bar growing up, and I
Yes.
would like cover it with like cheese and croutons and
Yes.
meat, and it would basically just be like one piece of lettuce and then all of the toppings.
That's
So
it. That's
I call
it.
that a salad.
That's
That's
a
right.
glorious salad bar.
It sure
Well,
is.
well, Liz, we want to say thank you so much for carving out, a little over 30 minutes in your hectic schedule. We look forward to watching your meteoric rise in the real estate
Thank
industry.
you.
We wish you nothing but the best, tremendous health and blessings to both you and your family for many, many years to come. And if people are not following you right now, Liz, where do they need to go to start following you?
Well, I'm most active on Instagram. You can find me, Liz Vaynerchuk Novello. And please DM me. I would love to say hello. You got
There we
this, Steve.
go. Yeah. Katie keeps muting my mic. It's not.
I was
It's not.
unmuting you. I was
Oh,
unmuting you.
Guys, thank you so much. Let's do this again soon.
absolutely.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much
much,
for your
Liz. We love
time.
you.
Take care. Bye.